For Mary of Nazareth, the mother of Jesus, the mother of God, Pentecost was a decidedly sacred and serious hold my beer moment. You will, I hope, pardon the irreverent expression. I promise I'll show that it's theologically sound. You've heard the expression, hold my beer. Imagine a group of guys, it's usually always guys, and one tries to show off his skills, often at something trivial or stupid. It's a bunch of guys drinking beer, after all. How serious can they be? Another guy who is more adept at whatever is being demonstrated, who's been there and done that, he says to the dude standing next to him, hold my beer, thereby freeing him to one-up his buddy by showing him how it's really done. Hold this image for a few minutes. Now back to the Blessed Mother and Pentecost Day. In the first chapter of the Acts of the Apostles, Luke the evangelist wrote that there were about 120 believers waiting to receive the Holy Spirit that Jesus promised them. Among these 120 believers was Mary of Nazareth, the mother of Jesus, the mother of God. These believers, where our story continues today, were all gathered together in one place. And then came the Holy Spirit in a wind-like rush and fire-like tongues that filled them all. These 120 believers must have been gobsmacked by this. Well, 119 of them anyway. You see, Mary already had a filled with the Holy Spirit Pentecost moment 30-odd years before this astonishing day. In the first chapter of the evangelist Luke's first volume, in the gospel bearing his name, he wrote that the angel Gabriel, who visited Mary on what we now call the Feast of the Annunciation, March 25th on our calendar, 9 months before Christmas, Gabriel said to Mary, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be holy. He will be called the Son of God." You can't get any more filled with the Holy Spirit, any more Pentecosty than to become pregnant by the Holy Spirit, to carry the incarnate second person of the Trinity in your womb, and to live the rest of your days in the grace-filled shadow of God the Father. Mary wasn't among the 120 so she could one-up the rest. She was there as a signifier of the completeness of God's plan in the incarnation. God becoming one of us in the person of Jesus. Heaven's journey to earth came to fulfillment by Mary saying yes to God's call. "Here I am, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word." Mary's presence in that Pentecost place, with her standing in stature as the Mother of God, made her, as the one who had been there and done that, the midwife of the birth of the church. to St. Peter's Pentecost and that of the other 118, Mary, with all seriousness, could say, "Hold my beer." Peter's one Pentecost and Mary's two were one-offs, singular events in salvation history, substantially unrepeatable. However, your baptismal day and mine were singular events in salvation history too, substantially unrepeatable. At the risk of sounding like Dr. Seuss, there has only ever been one of you. Your baptismal day and mine was our filled with the Holy Spirit Pentecost day, a singular and substantially unrepeatable day when we promised, or our parents promised on our behalf, that we renounce evil, turn to God's goodness and his gift of Jesus, and live into some pretty serious covenant vows. In that way, our baptismal days were like that of Peter's and the rest. But there's even more. I put a print of a Pentecost icon in your bulletin. It shows Mary sitting at the center, enthroned as the Mother of God, the one who was privileged with two Pentecosts. Our baptisms were also like Mary's first Pentecost, the Annunciation, for our baptisms gave the Holy Spirit permission to impregnate us with Jesus, to carry him inside of us, and to birth him in a world that remains desperate for the good news of his love and liberation. Do you have any idea just what God must think of you? How much God must love you? How much God must trust you to bestow on you at your baptism such grace and goodness? I honestly think that most Christians, myself included, have little idea just what this means. But we'll learn, and we'll learn some more, if we wish and want and work. Right after this sermon, we will recommit ourselves to Peter's one Pentecost and Mary's two by renewing our baptismal covenant promises. Pay attention. These promises and the sacrament they recall us to are more than words on a page. They are the path to life. They're sacred, and they're dead serious. And if I can close as playfully as I began, the next time an unsuspecting Christian talks to you about Jesus and asks you if you're saved, you can remember what you learned today about Pentecost and say with all seriousness, "Hold my beer."